Welcome to Wednesday's Words of Wisdom from the farm. And as you can see, I'm standing here on our pond behind the barn. This pond is like our skating rink. We got to get it all rigged up for skating on, put some lights out. But back in the day, this pond was very important because it watered the cattle and it watered the horses as well. And I can remember part of the barn we had a water tank for, and we had the big herd, but the calves were over on this side. And my dad would say, "Hey boy, just cut some holes in the ice and let the calves come out, but watch that they don't get out on the ice." So I would come over and I would cut a hole through the ice, just like that. And the calves would come over and the calves would drink from that. And Dad was watching over, he was scraping the manure off the pad. And Dad came out and he said, "Hey boy, get your calf, your big, beautiful calf, your steer, get him off of that where the cattails are. The snow will build up where the cattails are and insulate the ice, and the ice will be paper thin right there. Don't let your steer go near the cattails." And I said, "Dad, that's my steer, and he can go wherever he wants." And he says, "Well, boy, I'm just telling you, it's not a good idea. If he falls through, it's going to be bad." I want to read for you a scripture. In Proverbs 6:20, it says, "My son, keep your father's commands and do not forsake your mother's teaching." And then in verse 22, it says, "When you walk, they will guide you." Our father's instruction and command and our mother's teaching will guide us. Well, I was really stubborn, and I was set. That is it. He can go where he wants. Dad, leave him alone. And as we watched over, Dad says, "Boy, he's gonna, like, that's bad, that's bad." As we watched, he walked over and instantly he fell through the ice and his whole body went under. And it was a deeper pond than it is right now. And my dad quickly grabbed a binder twine, and that's simply a string that ties the bales together, this little binder twine, and he ran over and he quickly threw it. All that was sticking up was the top of the horns of the head. He was completely under. The steer was completely under. He had little horns, completely under except the top of his horns. And Dad threw the rope around his horns and he tightened it. And he said, "I'm going for the tractor. Keep his head above." And Mom, she comes running over the side bank and she grabs a hold of the string and we're holding its head and it's rearing back. And it stood right up and it was like it was going to go right back onto the pond. And we both pulled it somehow back onto the ice. And its front hoofs were on the ice and its head was above water. And Dad pulled in with his little tractor and he had a little chain and he threw the chain around its horns and hooked it and pulled it right up on the bank. I was so afraid. That was my favorite steer and that was my prize steer, and I was sure he was going to die because it was like minus 20 out. Went in the barn, bedded it all up, and we kept him in there, and he was fine. The next day, he was completely fine. Unfortunately, I lost my dad's favorite axe through the ice that day, but a few years later, Mom was out watering the garden. She dipped the pail, and she saw the axe handle floating, and my dad was thrilled he got that back. I want to say something to you today. Sometimes we can be stubborn, and we can be set in our ways, and when someone gives us advice, we can steer our own way and say, "No, I'm going to do things my own way," even though our way isn't as good. In Proverbs 19:20, it says, "Listen to advice and accept instruction, and in the end, you will be wise." There's people out there who actually, whether we like it or not, are smarter than we are, and they have good advice. The thing is, we need to accept their advice and go with it, because I would like to be wise and make good decisions. Don't let pride or stubbornness get in the way of a good decision. And as you can see, I'm just going to walk over here. It's probably going to be a little less solid over here where Dad said don't let the calf walk in. Like, you can tell that the ice is whoa, that's cold. That's super cold. That is super cold. And that's been Wednesday's Words of Wisdom from the farm. Take care. God bless.